At the start of the story, we meet a fisherman casting his internet into the sea to seize fish. He had carried out this generally before, but nowadays, don't know what took place and his net got caught somewhere within the sea. To get it out, he jumped into the ocean. However, he couldn't come again due to the fact a swarm of fish had surrounded him. In Germany, we now see Charlie sitting within the lighthouse, who abruptly receives an incorrect sign from the sea and is going into the sea with her associate, in which she sees her marine tracker caught in a fishing internet. The scene cuts and now shifts to Canada. Here Leon, who researches whalefish, has come to the shore of the ocean, because he has located a large injured whale lifeless on the shore of the sea. According to the local fisherman, this whale attempted to attack his boat, and tried to save himself, the whale become injured by means of him. Again in Germany we see Charlie, who's now placing a brand new marine tracker inside the sea so that he can keep a watch on all the animals living there and get records about them. Leon also takes his boat to the middle of the sea and notices 2 whales. All the tourists had been additionally taking part in the whale jumps in front of them. The subsequent second, the whale hit the boat in one of these extraordinary manner that it broke into 2 elements and all of the tourists went into the water. Leon, who desired to tell them about this from the start, fast goes towards them and begins rescuing them. However, in all this, he couldn't store his friend. The scene cuts and now shifts to a French eating place in which seafood changed into being made. A chef tries to cut a crab very skillfully. Then a peculiar white liquid jumped out of him and fell on his face. The chef washes his face and starts working again. He stored running like this until night, but after the night time, his condition began to deteriorate. He even died. The situation of the 2 other cooks working within the same lodge additionally deteriorated in a atypical way. They needed to go to the ICU. No one knew what occurred to them. They begin finding the reason. The scientists collect samples from a ship from the seabed. When these insects are tested within the lab, its Miles found that they have got jaws and feature the capability to supply many greater infants than normal bugs. Here we see that Leon has met a fisherman who himself had seen the incident of attacking a whale on a ship. Leon tells the police that no longer only that boat, but he had seen many such incidents the other day in which many massive whales have been attacking the boat. Hearing this, Leon goes out and sees the deliver that had been sent to the sea for research. This time, a few abnormal matters have been stuck to the lowest of the ship that had never been seen earlier than. Leon sends them for studies. Here, every other deliver is also dispatched to the middle of the ocean, through which a sampler is sent to the shore of the ocean, wherein the equal bizarre worms have been being born, on which they are doing research. However, they were now not able to gather the pattern due to the harm to the ship. There was a very horrific explosion. The human beings sitting on the deliver survived, but now they were very scared. Here within the lab, scientists have reached the realization by doing research on the formerly caught worms that there are some microorganism in these worms and that they consume ice. By consuming such ice, these human beings can cross inside the sea typically. Now in Germany, wherein Charlie became already in the lighthouse, we observe quite a few alerts within the lighthouse, seeing which Charlie changed into also scared. Before she did anything, we're proven a strange whirlwind within the sea, which took the floating boat inner itself. Immediately after this, we were shown a town in which 2 humans had been standing at the bridge speaking to every different. The woman choices up the book in her friend's hand and drops it into the water. As the e-book fell into the water, they see an unusual scene. At the equal time, hundreds of jellyfish had come to the surface of the ocean. Here within the Technological Know-How Lab, scientists have been now gaining knowledge of the microorganism that they discovered on the chef's body, i.e., the liquid that came out of the crab and fell on his face. A sudden component in addition they find out is that after the chef's coincidence, many people who visited the eating place were either killed or badly unwell. This is what we see that Leon has also come to ask for some permission from the scientist. He wanted to do an post-mortem of that whale and desired to look how the environment of pollutants and air pollution is converting into them, and making their behavior so risky that they are attacking humans. Leon would not get anything from that whale apparently, but from the brain of that whale, Leon receives a strange type of substance, which he sends to the lab for research. Here, the scientist unearths out that a man died in an extraordinary way at the petrol pump. His unexpected dying stricken them all. After the studies, it changed into observed that he turned into also inflamed with the identical microorganism that the chef changed into inflamed with. After his dying, the scientist researched and realized that now this microorganism is spreading through the eating place's water supply machine. Leon additionally discovers that whales have attacked ships in various parts of the arena, throughout one-of-a-kind seas. This was surprising to him. Leon fits all of the locations proven at the map with a line. And then whilst it turns into a purchaser, he guesses that these whales were migrating, and while migrating, bizarre behaviors were born internal them. Leon failed to want to waste time in understanding the purpose for these items, so he jumps into the water with a camera. His project was to place a digicam on the snoozing whales in the depths of the sea, which he succeeds in doing. On the other hand, we discover that the humans of Japan additionally located comparable microorganism and worms on the floor of the ocean, which Leon's group was learning. However, they didn't inform the arena about it. Leon's crew can see via the camera positioned on Leon's whale that an oil corporation had made a massive hole within the intensity of the ocean. They desired to extract oil from right here, however, due to this, they destroyed the surface of the ocean. There is another unusual incident within the morning. A swarm of crabs were discovered at the beaches of the ocean in lots of components of the world. Many of them were introduced to the laboratory for trying out. The identical bacteria became present within the crabs that infected the chef. They test the microorganism, and they recognize that those bacteria absorb blood cells the fastest. In Germany, in a lighthouse, Charlie began getting atypical sounds from the sea, which she additionally recorded and dispatched it to the laboratory for checking out. Here the officials failed to pay much interest to those sounds, announcing that it became only a random noise. But then when the scientists got greater news of such sounds, they sent a few research devices and an entire crew to Charlie. Before they could start their research here, they get an emergency message to evacuate this vicinity straight away due to the fact there has been going to be a terrible tsunami in the sea. It didn't take a minute to forestall, and it was spreading through water supply. This microorganism also has the capacity to kill human beings through infecting them. This is what Leon tells all the fishermen there and says, "Depart the sea as quickly as viable." The microorganism inside the sea is killing human beings. However, the fishermen refuse to pay attention to him, pronouncing that we've got always lived inside the sea. This coast is our world. We are able to now not go to the floor. After all this, we are shown an assembly of scientists wherein many scientists have been doing studies on this incident and that they had been questioning that how can this happen that all at once a bacteria is born and it spreads so fast. Some scientists' idea that this microorganism became deliberately spread through someone else, but a few were no longer prepared to trust this. Anyway, after this assembly, they now meet authorities officials and inform them that a bacteria born within the sea has affected the entire marine existence. That manner it has attacked all of the animals that stay inside the sea. Animals aren't dying from this, however, whilst the equal animals are eaten by means of human beings. Then that bacteria has also started out infecting humans. All the government officials do no longer trouble this plenty and inform the scientists that we've kept you to locate the solutions to the trouble, no longer to tell the issues. After it, they meet a well-known scientist within the international. That scientist reads the complete report of them and listens to the recordings on the report carefully and tells that those recordings are not in regular noise. She felt that each one those voices were coming from one of these international about which we do now not recognize. Hearing this, the relaxation of the scientists also are surprised. Instead, it is a huge risk to the sector. He tells absolutely everyone that this scientist's experiment can store the arena from a huge risk. Here all the scientists have been sitting in an assembly and discussing what could be the final results of these voices. What dangers can they face and the way can they be saved? Now whatever the scientist had to do, he had to do it by means of going to the Arctic Ocean. That's why all people meets their family for the closing time and begins their adventure. According to the calculation of the scientist, maximum of the microorganism are in a valley of Antarctica, and it may additionally be that all these organisms and a majority of these microorganisms had been living there for hundreds of years. No one should have come to realize approximately them. They had already left for the adventure. Everyone was on a deliver and everyone become doing their responsibility well. A reporter was also present on their deliver who turned into taking everybody's short interview. Suddenly, the deliver passes via such a place that each one the indicators in the ship are interrupted for a minute. As this happens, all the scientists alert. They knew that now they had been going to get a sign which might also had been sent through the same mysterious organism on which they desired to do research. Finally, they receive some indicators from the ocean floor, in which the scientists document the crying of a baby and send the one's alerts again to the floor of Earth. The motive of doing this become most effective to know that if there may be a species on the sea ground that desires to talk to them or if there's any other world residing there so the human beings there could communicate with them. They couldn't rely upon simply alerts. Charlie and her colleague descend to the ocean floor in a natural water capsule to look at everything. As they pass there, something odd happens to them. Their reference to the boat starts off evolved to give up. Their oxygen level drops lots and in their capsule, ordinary functioning begins. Charlie's associate Poland attempts to take this capsule lower back up, but Charlie does now not need this. She turns off the lighting fixtures of her tablet and sees something shining here. After that, they come lower back to the boat with their capsule. A small compartment opens under the boat, permitting the tablet to be introduced on board. When they go down, everyone asks them what they saw under. Charlie's accomplice says he did not see anything underneath, while Charlie turned into saying that she has seen a variety of shining mild beneath. Now they have been pronouncing that they obtain more indicators from the intensity of the ocean which become the solution to the crying voices of the youngsters. It was clean that if there's any creature or species under, it has started out speak me to them. The returning sign turned into additionally of the crying voices of the youngsters. However, there were a whole lot of modifications in them and in keeping with the scientist, it manner that those bacteria can apprehend people. They have transmitted this message to them through altering them. Now the scene within the ship is proven inside the pool which has Charlie's water capsule. At the same time, she changed into a journalist and became recording all the matters right here. Suddenly, she sees a number of mild inside the pool and then she falls into the pool. As the scientists see this stuff, they at once rescue this female and then within the take a look at, it's Miles found that the lady has additionally emerged as inflamed with the identical bacteria. When this took place, all of the alerts of the ship were interrupted over again. After these types of indicators had been interrupted, they obtained a message from the species and bacteria dwelling within the sea and according to the scientist, this message become no longer received from the intensity of the sea, however from in the deliver. Here the scientists have been additionally busy treating the girl wherein they now take out the fluid of the female's spinal wire and take a look at it. After checking out, they find that the fluid of her spinal wire has emerged as exactly the identical as the fluid located within the animals residing inside the sea. It's sincerely intended that those microorganisms changed the fluid of her spinal twine very quickly. Hearing this from the health practitioner, now Charlie additionally tells them the reality. She tells them that the water pill through which they went down the ocean, she had visible loads of mild on that water tablet. These may be the equal microorganism that have entered their deliver through their water pill about which Charlie's associate was denying. At this time he gets some other sign from the ocean degree. This become an audio photos in which a big part of the sea become and some people have been being shown. When absolutely everyone become busy searching at those indicators, Charlie was status near the pool. In the pool, a lot of lights were now seen to Charlie and all the ones lights together had been forming ordinary shapes. Here, now the Japanese officers who had given them permission to do that studies, additionally come to their boat through the helicopter. They see all of the work done by way of the scientist and attempt to apprehend all this rely. The scientist had made idea by means of locating the end result of the whole thing in line with which all those microorganisms dwelling beneath the ground are a community. They are some sort of species which have been living right here on the sea stage for lots of years and that they don't need pollutants to spread within the sea and ruin the ocean. The simplest purpose of spreading a lot of these bacteria in the sea is to break out human beings from the sea and empty the ocean for them. Not to unfold pollutants in it, but how become it possible that someone would deliver all his water assets to every other species? The Japanese president also asks those human beings. Then the scientist's solution that species has been answering our indicators for a long time. It method that it desires to speak to us and wants to apprehend what we're saying. It is feasible that we are able to make some type of agreement with them, to find a method to all the troubles. They have been talking. Meanwhile, another scientist makes this type of chemical there, through which those bacteria can be killed. These humans could have placed this chemical in the entire sea. However, their head scientist forbids them to do so. He turned into now not even within the right to place this chemical inside the ship's pool. However, then most of the people decide that they may do that experiment. All the humans stand near the ship's pool, and then that chemical is positioned inner that pool. Meanwhile, a peculiar explosion takes place within the water. A loud scream is heard with the aid of they all, because of which all of the glass things of the ship destroy. All the functions of the deliver forestall running, even the equipment. And in order that they get caught in the sea. They desired to get out of here as soon as possible. But they discovered out that the ice present in their resource is coming close to their deliver surprisingly and shooting it. When they come out and spot, they see a blue light beneath their deliver, which become pulling their deliver and taking it someplace else. The captain of the ship is afraid to turn on the engine of the ship, but it become no longer turning on. They understood that when human beings first polluted the water, those species best warned them even as spreading the contamination that they need to now not try this. However, now when those scientists deliberately tried to kill those species, now they were going to take revenge on them. This glow inside the water is the species that these scientists had named YRR, which turned into now taking the deliver away from the manage of people. Here the Japanese president asks the top scientist, why cannot we position that chemical in the complete sea in order that this species YRR dies? So these scientists answer that even though all the manufacturing businesses within the international begin making that chemical, still so much chemical cannot be made that this year species inside the sea may be killed. They now had simplest one approach to keep human beings, that they begin taking note of the species year. Charlie now fast brings the frame of the journalist who had been inflamed via this year species. They throw this body into the water, to inform the species that they're equipped to pay attention to everything. Due to the fact the signals in the ship were now not working. Through the water tablet through which they have been sending the journalist into the water, Charlie sits inside the water capsule. She then injects a liquid into her coronary heart, which was constructed from the infection unfold with the aid of the species liquid. After doing this, she opened the door of her capsule. She did no longer recognize what could show up to her now. As she opened the door, she started out to drift inside the water. On the opposite hand, these species left their boat. All the ice debris across the boat were removed from the boat. We then see Charlie within the sea, surrounded by way of lights, as though they were protective her. In the following scene, Charlie is proven at the shore. She remains alive when she opens her eyes. They shine like those of the species. This manner that Charlie has carried out her purpose. She has shaped a friendship with the species. The collection concludes while displaying this.